Hello and welcome to SIP TV from TrustNet Direct. I'm with Greg McClymont today, who's Head of Retirement at Aberdeen Asset Management, one of Europe's biggest asset managers.
Hello John, it's a pleasure to be here today with you.
Greg, we're going to talk about lifetime pension limits now. It seems that there's always pressure on us from the government about reducing those limits, and even though we're trying to do the right thing and save a decent amount for our retirement, you know, those limits seem to be compressing all the time. So what I'm really trying to get at is, can we save enough now within these limits for a decent retirement?
Well, as I've got no doubt that viewers will be aware, the lifetime allowance is coming down to £1 million, is £1 million now, and the annual allowance is set at 40,000 per year. And I think there's a couple of issues here. The first is that it keeps changing, so some stability would be welcome, just so investors can plan for the retirement. The lack of stability, the constant churn, I think, is a real challenge. More positively, the Institute for Fiscal Studies, and the most respected economic forecaster in the land, just the other day came out with a report saying that pensions still represent the most efficient form of saving, even after the changes to tax relief allowances. And that's because of the power of the employer contribution. Employer contribution is really what makes a pension attractive. In some ways, it's inverted commas free money that an individual gets, and I think it's good news that the IFS have found that for those of us that think pensions, are something that are very important to the fabric of the UK. But even the IFS have a cautionary note, which is that, of course, pensions and their attractiveness are subject to further changes to taxation and incentives. So stability would be nice, so we know for sure what can be done. Of course, the retirement phase is a little different. The employer is no longer part of it, but hopefully the employer contribution compounded over the years helps investors get to a point where they have a retirement pot which can provide an income.
Is there a rule of thumb about, a percentage of your salary that you should retire? Because I suppose my big question is, if people can't save up for an amount they don't really know what it is. So what do you think the rule of thumb is?
Yeah, really good question. So the Pensions Commission 10 years ago used the rule of thumb of a replacement income, i.e. a retirement income, which was 2/3 of your salary at retirement. That has been critiqued again by the IFS, the Institute of Fiscal Studies, on the basis that actually it doesn't take into account individuals' other assets. Yeah. So in many cases, it's more than actually is needed for a comfortable retirement. And of course, the lower your income to start with, your expectations of what you're going to have in retirement are change. And they usually say if you can save 12% between employer and yourself for a working life, that will get you to a replacement rate of 50% of your final salary. Now, that seems potentially plausible and achievable, but actually the reality is that many people are saving nothing for their retirement. Yeah. Just the other day, a report came out which stated very clearly that someone on an average income in the UK, average salary, would have to work till they're 77 to get to the 2/3 replacement income suggested by the Pensions Commission. From the age of 22, when you're automatically enrolled, at the statutory minimum levels of contributions, both from individual and from the employer, you have to work for 55 years. So that puts the challenge in context at that end of the market.
Okay, so I think given reducing limits or assumed reducing limits, there are two things, I suppose. One, should you start saving for retirement much earlier, and does auto-enrolment help solve that problem? And the other one is, we're just talking about pension now, should we look at ISAs to top up a pension. If you're starting like me, I started horrendously late, sort of going into a pension, and so I've got to put in a lot more than you mentioned to catch up. So is an ISA? Two questions there. Is an ISA a good idea to use?
Well, so in terms of ISA, of course, ISAs have a big advantage, which is that unlike other savings vehicles, they are tax-free. So that's clearly something which any investor would be keen to explore, to have sheltered from tax those savings. I would say more widely, there's two things going on. The first is absolutely the earlier you start saving, the better. Yeah. The magic of compounding, works its magic better over a longer period. On the other hand, the way that our life cycles operate is the time when on average we have as individuals spare cash is later on in working life. When you're very young, you've got debts to pay off, whether that's tuition fees or the like, or saving for a deposit on a property. Mm-hmm. Then children come along in many cases, and again, excess income is reduced, and it's usually towards the end of those two processes that, maybe perhaps in your case, John, that you have the ability to really save in significant way into your pension. Yeah. So life tends to intervene. Life's messier than models can account for. But certainly the magic of compounding is best gathered, best harnessed, should I say, by starting early.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much. If you want to do some retirement planning for yourself, we've built some really handy retirement tools covering the 3 stages of retirement: planning, approaching retirement, and post-retirement, and you'll find them all on the TrustNet Direct website.